Hi, I'm Mike with Homes Quality Products. Today, I want to help you pick the right credit card for you. So everybody has different spending habits, different goals they want out of things. I'm going to try to help you figure out how to find the best card for each one of you for your individual needs and wants. So the first thing to do is think about your spending, where you spend most of your money at. So if you're spending your money at a lot of your money at Walmart, things like that, then you probably want to use a what they call a catch-all card. So it's like a 1.5 or 2% card on everything. So that would be your primary card. If you find yourself spending a lot at a grocery store or fuel, you want to make sure you find a card that fits that category so that you can get the most out of where you're spending your money. The next thing you want to do is figure out is if your goal is to just get cash back, save a little money, put it back for whatever Christmas, holidays, or if your plan is to eventually travel somewhere and you want to save up for that trip to go somewhere. So let's go through just a couple ideas and a couple cards to consider for these situations. Now, there is a few cards that you can use for cash back or for travel. So we'll kind of go through these kind of quickly just to give you guys an idea of how to look at these and how to pick the right things for you. All right, so first off, if you're just starting to get your first few cards, you probably want to find cards without annual fees unless you're probably going to be traveling or doing something like that. Because if you change your mind or you figure a different strategy or maybe a different card you like, it's nice to be able to take that card and just put it away into the sock drawer and not really use it, but you didn't have to cancel that card and remove that line of credit because your overall credit helps a lot. So if you take a card and you're not using it and you cancel it, say it was a $10,000 card, 5,000, doesn't matter. Now if you had 6 cards and you had say a total of $60,000 and you removed 10, you just dropped it down pretty drastic where you could have just kept that 60,000. Now, with that being said, if it's a card with an annual fee and you're not really utilizing it, then maybe it's better to go ahead and save that $100 a year or 200, 300, 600, 7, whatever that card's costing you, and cancel it and save that money every year. All right, so the first and simple thing is, I kind of mentioned this at the beginning, is find out where you're spending your money. So you guys should already be tracking your money and doing things like that. So if, for example, I live close to a Walmart, so I go to Walmart for most of my grocery needs and like just to grab things because it's convenient. It's got everything I need. So for me, the first card I want to get is a simple 1.5 or 2% card because I can use it there at Walmart, but I can also use it at the gas station. I'm going to get at least 2% back or 1.5% back according to what card you get on everything. So the Double Cash and the Active Cash are two 2% cards that have an ecosystem that you can expand, or you can get the Quicksilver from Capital One or the Chase Freedom Unlimited to get into the Chase ecosystem. So if you're spending it somewhere like that, get you a simple card, catch-all credit card. Now, if you're spending a lot on fuel and you're like, okay, well, my fuel is my highest spend, you might want to get something like the Custom Cash. If you have Verizon, get the Verizon card. You can get something like the Autograph, which gives you 3% on fuel, but it gives you 3% on a lot of other categories. So if your fuel is you're spending over $500 a month on it, then maybe the Custom Cash won't be quite enough for you. And you need to get something like the AAA card. And now, like grocery is your highest spending, you're going to find a card. The Custom Cash again will work for grocery. You can use different cards for different things, but figure out what your highest spend is. And then do the research on each one of those categories, like best card for fuel, best card for down. You can leave a comment down below. I probably already have most of the cards. I can probably give you a little bit of advice, but start researching the best card for that area. So whether it's grocery, dining is a big one for me. If it's fuel, whatever. If it's a place like Walmart, you're going to need like a catch-all card because there's not anything really specifically with Walmart. So think about that. The next thing you want to do is consider, where do you want to spend your money? So when you start getting this cash back, do you want to use it for travel or do you want to use it for cash back? Now, think about this. When you use it for cash back, you can still use it for travel. So if you have the Custom Cash and you're getting 5% back on fuel, and that's the only card you have and you're spending a lot on fuel, right? That 5% back, that's cash back. So that you can still use that cash back for a trip or whatever. You just get more value when you use things like transfer partners. So with that being said, you can start out, like if you're not sure, and getting something like the Citi Custom Cash is going to give you 5% back in one category. And maybe the double cash will give you 2% back at Walmart if that's your spend. And then later on, you can get the Strata Premier, and then that gives you transfer partners where you can transfer it out to like British Airways or Choice Hotels or whatever it may be, and then you get more value out of those points. Same thing with like Chase. If you're using a Chase credit card, so say you had the Freedom Unlimited, it gives you 1.5%. Well, you're like, well, 1.5% is not a whole lot, but if later on you decide to travel and you get the Chase Sapphire Preferred, now each 1% is worth 1.25 if you use it to book travel. So that makes that 1.5% card more like a 2% card, or close to it. So if you're going to use it for travel, but you can still use that for cash back and other things too. And then I mentioned the Wells Fargo Active Cash. So that's a 2% card. And then you can take the Autograph, which has a lot of 3% categories. I've talked about in the Autograph video that's one of the best no annual fee cards, because now you have this 3% from the Autograph plus the 2% as your minimum that you're going to use. But with the Autograph card, now you can use it for transfer partners, or you can still use it for cash back. So now you have the option of cash back and transfer partners. Now, granted, they don't have a whole lot yet, but they said they're going to add to it. But you have the choice of both of those with just these two cards with no annual fees. So if something changes later and you're like, well, I'm not really liking this ecosystem, and you want to use Capital One or you want to use Citi or somebody else, you just put them in the sock drawer and you don't have to mess up your total credit. And it may not seem like a big deal now. I usually don't have any balances on any of my stuff, but if something comes up and you had an emergency or something you needed to spend money on, when you have, $100,000 worth of credit or more versus $10,000, and you got to use $5,000 for emergency or something, or $3,000, that's going to affect you a lot more if you only have a little bit of credit. So that's why I said, like, I usually suggest cards with no annual fees, because you can put them in the sock drawer. Now, there's also, you can do product changes. So for example, with Citi, I mentioned the Custom Cash, which is 5% back in one category. Well, I have 3 of those cards. You can only apply and get 1, but you can product change. So after so many years, you can even get the bonus again. So if you have the Citi Double Cash, which is 2% on everything, you can product change that later to a Custom Cash. And then if it's been over 4 years, you can reapply for that Double Cash, get that card again, get the bonus again. Or if you had the Strata Premier, you could take the Strata Premier, like say you're like, well, I'm not really using this, I don't want to pay the $100 annual fee. You could downgrade that to a Custom Cash and have another 5% card. And like I said, I have 3 of them. So I use one for fuel, I use one for dining, and then I use one for, I usually only go to the grocery store. Like I said, I live close to Walmart, but if I go to Whole Foods or whatever's around me, Albertsons, whatever, I can use that card, get 5% back. Or say there's a concert or something coming up, I can use that card and get 5% back. So that gives me 3 categories a month that I get 5% back at a maximum of $500 in spend. But that's a pretty nice option. So you can do product changes later. Now, I've made a lot of videos about a lot of different cards. So if you have a question, you can leave it down in the comments below, and maybe I can give you direct ideas of what to look at or give you somewhere to start looking. But the general thing is just type in best for this category. Now, if you, like I said, if you're looking for something with transfer partners and things like that, things get a little more complicated, because a lot of those cards have annual fees, except for like the Bilt MasterCard, which if you're paying rent, I mean, that's probably one of your largest spends if you're paying it. That's 1% back on rent, and it's still 3% on dining, but it gives you access to transfer partners. And then you have the Wells Fargo Autograph that's going to give you no annual fee and give you access to transfer partners. So there's a lot of options out there. But anyway, start out by figuring out what your top spend is. I would probably say look at your top 3 spending categories. Start there. Get your highest spend first. Find out the best card for that and work your way through those. But at the same time, you need to decide you want cash back or travel. If you're just getting into this, I would probably just say just focus on cash back, because you can still use it to give you some value towards travel. It's not the same as using transfer partners, but that's something that you can do later. So what's your highest spend categories? And what do you want to do with this card? So if you guys liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.